Good morning. I'm driving up to Cleveland, Ohio again today, and the weather is just getting a little snowy out finally. We're getting our pretty much second snow, I think, around here. But anyway, I was just thinking about all of the things that go through my mind while I'm driving. A lot of things go on in my mind. I started thinking about, how many times have I been asked, why do you do what you do? Why do you drive a truck? And I've been asked that a lot. And throughout the years, I have given different answers. But the one answer that, I give my reason for driving, doing what I do, is because I like it. I enjoy driving. I always have. And it just kind of became like what I do. I just do it. I honestly think it's the best job to have, but it's got its downfalls. It's got its bad negatives. Like, you don't never know when you're going to get home. You can't predict traffic. You can't predict the weather. But anyway, that's not really what I want to talk about. I was going to talk about what I was thinking about as I was driving. I wonder sometimes if this is God's will for me. Not just now. I'm not just thinking about it now, but over the years, I've thought about it. Because it's really a job that it has to become your lifestyle in a way. Pretty much like any career, it will build your lifestyle. You build your lifestyle around your job if you can. I mean, you almost have to, because you spend most of your time at your job and then less time at home. If you work full time. But anyway, I've thought a lot of times, struggling whether am I doing the will of God? Is this God's will for me? And so I'm like, well, it's like this for me. During my struggles with this job, because like today, I'm not going to get home till really late. It's going to be probably 10 o'clock tonight when I get home, and I'm going to be tired, and I have a life at home too. So it's like trying to find that balance is very stressful. And so when I get that way, when I get stressed out to the max, I'm like, is this God's will for me? And is this really what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? And that's came up a lot, just like probably with anything that we do, especially if it's something we do for a long time, it's like we may start wondering why we do what we do. But we get through it for whatever reason you do it or whatever. But for me today, I started thinking about what is my will for my kids? Okay? The will that we have, it's like there's a written will that you have or you don't have for your family. Like if you pass, you move on, and some of us will have a will written up for our family as to what we want for them when we're not here with them anymore. And then we have God's will for us. Okay, and God's written will is the Bible. Okay, that is God's written will for my life. That's what He wants for me. That's what He has planned for me, is a future and hope. And so, as I was thinking about that today, it doesn't matter what we do. God's will is the same. God's will stays the same for us. No matter what we choose to do with our life, just like I was saying about when I get my written will, which I don't have right now, I don't have a written will for my family yet, but when I do get it written up, it's going to be for their best interest, okay? It's going to be what I want for them to have when I'm gone. My plans for them, okay? And then they can do with it whatever they want. It's not up to me to tell them what to do with the will that I give them. It's just a written will telling them what I want for them. Okay? And so, as I was thinking about that, it's like, that's how it is for us and God. Okay? He gives us His word. He gives us His written will. His will for us. His desire for us. Okay? That's what gets us through things, is our will to do it. Okay? Willingness, you don't really do anything without willingness. So, willy-nilly, we can do it willy-nilly or whatever, but it's really amazing also how in different phases of my life I've gotten to that point of asking, like, why am I doing this? Why do I keep stressing myself out? Why do I keep struggling with this or that? Okay? And then I find myself still doing it. I'm still driving. I've been driving a truck for 20 years now, at least. And many times throughout this career, I've tried to find something else to do. I get stressed out. I'm like, oh, this isn't working. I can't plan anything or whatever. And then I continue doing it because then I find a way that it does work for me. I don't make it work for me. I guess it kind of works for me. It's like, however you want to look at it. But if I wasn't willing to do it, I wouldn't do it. So there's something about this job that I desire. And we have to have something that we desire, okay? So whether it's our will or whether it's God's will for us, we can only find what is in His will for us, okay? And then we do with it what we want, okay? That is called free will. He also gave us that, free will. I don't know why this is on my mind today, but I was thinking about the forgiveness that I've been really meditating on forgiveness, and then last night I had a dream about a relationship that used to be, and now it's not, but that person and I were angry with each other, and in the dream I was still angry about what they did, but I was still forgiving of them. I was still forgiving what they did, but still not happy with what they did. I was still angry about that, and I stay separated from that. And how I do that is not to be around it. Just because we forgive somebody. Okay, this is where I think I was misled for a long time, is that I believe that forgiving someone means that we have to allow them in our life. We have to continue to let them do what they do, even if it's hurtful. And that's not in God's will for us. Okay, God's will for us is that we flee You know, we keep ourselves from wickedness. Okay, and when we do that, the enemy has to flee from us because we're doing God's will. We're in God's will when we do that. We're keeping ourselves from wickedness, keeping ourselves, you know, free from being defiled by this world. And how do you do that? You stay away from wickedness. If someone's doing you harm, you can forgive them. Forgive them of their wicked ways and go another way. Go towards God. Go towards goodness. Go towards being protected and guided and nurtured and loved and comforted. We can go towards those things, but we can still forgive the acts of our enemy. We can forgive them, but we can also get away from it. Okay, so that's just my experience. I allowed people to treat me bad because I was trying to forgive them. Okay, and that's really hard to understand that, but it actually is. It's really good, and actually, God doesn't want us quarreling and fighting. Okay, He doesn't want that. It's in His will that we live in peace together. And how do we do that if we don't separate ourselves from the things that are harming us? Okay, we have to find that peace in whatever it is. He says, however it is that you can do that, then do it, because it's in His will. His will for us is peace and kindness and love and happiness and joy and good health and all that. So anyway, back to that with my job is it's in God's will that I have those things no matter what I do. So doing this job, am I doing God's will? Am I in God's will? I believe I'm in God's will, yes. Am I doing His good will? Am I forgiving others? Am I forgiving myself? Am I working and doing everything that I can do with my whole heart? Am I doing it out of the goodness of my heart? Am I doing it willingly? Yes, I'm doing all that. So even though I'm struggling sometimes, and even though like now, I find myself wanting to talk about these things more and more, and so when I'm driving, some days I get a lot of phone calls. Some days I'm on the phone. Some days I just drive and I don't talk to anybody. And I'm just, you know, in meditation, in prayer, praying with God, speaking with the Holy Spirit, guiding me and giving me instructions on some of these things I have to work out. You know, we have to work these things out with ourselves. And it's hard sometimes to get through a day when it's 14 hours. I don't go over the road. I'm home every day, but my days are long sometimes. And I still have a daughter at home. She's almost 16, but she still, you know, she still needs me. I still go home to her. She still helps, and we still have, you know, family life and things. And this year's been challenging. It really has, in so many different ways for everybody. So I'm not even going to go there. We already know. But I just started thinking about that, you know, how maybe when we think about the things that we're doing and try to take some of the stress off of ourselves, is know that if you're trying to do good, you're still going to struggle. If you're trying to do the right thing, you're still going to struggle. And if you're wondering if you're doing God's will, don't let somebody tell you you're not doing good enough, or you're not enough, or you're not doing God's will. Don't let other people decide whether you're doing God's will or not, because we are in God's will. Okay? The scripture says so. His word says so. All right, and we don't have to let other people tell us whether we're doing God's will or not. Because even if you love one person, you are doing God's will. Because His will for us is to love one another. Okay, we don't have to be all over the place all at one time to do God's will. We don't have to do that. He is with us wherever we go. Okay, that's just how I believe He reaches everybody, is because He's working through us. So He's reaching everybody. And so if it's just one person in your life and making a difference for that person, then you're doing God's will. And God will reward you for that. He rewards all of His children for all of the good things that we do. And you can get away from wickedness. You can get away from someone that's hurting you or harming you. Okay, don't be fooled into thinking that you have to be abused to be forgiving. Okay, you can forgive and walk away, and still be doing right with God. Because that's like I said, when you write a will, or if you have a will for your kids, I don't think it would be in anybody's will for you to write in your will, be in wickedness, do evil things. I don't think that would be in your will for somebody. And it's not in God's will for us that we do wicked things, or that we put ourselves in harm's way. I don't think that's in God's will. He's not going to do that. He's not going to put us, His will isn't that we put ourselves in harm's way. And that would be someone who's trying to kill, steal, and destroy your life and your goodness, okay? So that's what we have to remember, the difference. There's a difference. And I just wanted to share that, because I get a lot of things going through my mind while I'm driving, and sometimes I just call my daughter and talk to her about it. Sometimes she says I'm too serious. She says I take life too serious. But to a point, we have to. We need to take life some serious, and sometimes we just need to laugh. So I hope you all can find a difference, find the balance, find the discernment, and understand that God has given us free will to do these things, to choose right from wrong, and to choose His ways over somebody else's ways. If it's doing harm to you, seek God's way. God's way will set you free from that. So I'm going to get off here. The roads are getting snowy covered, and be safe. Bye-bye.